Hey guys, how's it going? Uh, well, looks like it's the end of the week and our assignment was due a couple of hours ago, so congrats to y'all who made it on time. Uh, I myself cut it very close. Um, so, yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks, especially this week, so congrats on making it this far and making it through the end. Only a couple more weeks left and you guys are done and off for your summer internships just like I am. Pretty excited about it. Another thing to be excited about: Red Wings just won. Now they're up by one in the playoffs. They're going back home to the Joe. I know most of you don't watch hockey, but I don't care. This is for me. I'm wearing my jersey, I'm enjoying life over here. All right, so this week we covered three chapters. Chapter 9, which is ecological models of theory, and then Chapter 10, development of self-authorship, and Chapter 12, transitional theories. So, just about every single one of these we have covered at some point during these classes, thankfully, and if not, I think a lot of us maybe have thought about these for our comparison for our papers. I know that I had looked at every single one of these chapters and read every single one of these chapters on accident, not necessarily on accident per se, but when I was looking to write my paper this week, when I finally got a chance to, I read all three of these chapters to look to see if I can compare them to anything that I currently was doing with my model, which has some similarities and some differences. Okay, so chapter 9 was Bronfenbrenner with his ecological model. We have covered that before, and really, what his model asserts is having a little bit of developmental ecology, which is where it puts really a lot of emphasis into context and time, and the process, and specifically the identity formation of whether it's the person, student. At the end of the day, the middle of the ecological model is you, and then your specific development that you're looking at. And it goes into having context, and then if you remember the mesosystems, microsystems, macrosystems, I'm not going to get into it too deeply because there is a lot to cover. But at the end of the day, it's really about how everything interacts with the environment and how the environment interacts with you and impacts you. And they are all linked together through some sort of fashion. For example, the easiest one to refer to is the mesosystem, with containing all the microsystems like your job, your roommate, your friendship groups, your classes. Those are those microsystems inside the mesogroup that interacts with everything, that interacts with you, the student, in your development. And then jumping ahead to development of self-authorship, we spoke about this numerous times. The most recent was at the beginning of this class, specifically, but this was brought up day one in our orientation to the higher ed program. Been a while. It's almost a year, guys. We've made it a year. It was brought up there. It was brought up in our history class. So we're pretty familiar to this. So one of the questions I have to ask you is actually going to relate to this in a little bit. But we talk about Keegan's theory of evolution of consciousness, which is to do with the development of yourself and your mind, and contains four orders. Yeah, five orders. And again, I'm not really going to touch on those, and I apologize if this is not detailed enough. To be honest with you, I think that this only needs a skimming since it's mostly a refresher. And then we have Baxter Magolda's theory of self-authorship. We've encountered Baxter Magolda before. However, I don't think we really talked about specifically her theory of self-authorship. But essentially, her self-authorship claims a lot of what we've already talked to, and it contains 5 paths. It looks like 4 phases rather, and these phases are like transitions. Not transitions. We'll get to that in a second. But these phases are getting you to the creating the internal foundation for self-authorship. And then we have chapter 12, which is the transitional theories, which is Schlossberg's model, and I know this one pretty heavily. as I had to use this for my paper. The Sloshberg's model has a little bit of a cyclic feel to it in the middle with the four S's, and then you've got it. Basically, it asserts what's the word I'm looking for? Intentional transition, unexpected transition, expected transition. One would being obviously unexpected. What it means is like it came out of nowhere and it wasn't expected for or planned for, but it causes you and forces you into the next position of your life. And then the expected transition being essentially something as like graduation. So that was kind of more of a just like, here you go, you're moving through, and here's an explanation as to why. Now, my questions are more related to one of each, and they're more specific, I suppose. My first question would be, since being in grad school, since you've started your process here through the higher ed program, or I think everybody in our group is in the higher ed program, since you've started, do you think you've gained more of a sense of self-authorship based on Baxter McGolda's theory? Do you think that now you can author your own life and feel that you're capable of doing that? That's basically the question I'm asking to you. A little bit of background for myself. Yes, I think my writing has changed, and my personality and my thought process has changed, and I've grasped a bit more of an understanding. But really, do you feel this has affected you, and that using this theory has helped push you forward in your development of yourself since being in grad school? And then we have Bronfenbrenner. I'm going to ask a question specifically about that. So question 2 is, do you think you would be capable of creating a model for Bronfenbrenner off the top of your head? And really, I guess it's vague, but being that it's an environmental model, I think of it as one of the easiest yet most useful models you can interact with, only because at the beginning of it, there's you. It's always going to be you or that student or whoever you're working with in the middle, and then it fans out to the environment. So it's kind of easily broken down by larger overarching themes, and I think it could be one of the most practical theories that we've used so far. Only in that I found that I've been referring to it. So, do you feel, or what model? I guess question 2 is ignore the first portion of that because it made no sense. But question 2. Which model do you think is most useful that we've learned about this semester? Whether it be the Schlossberg's model or Keegan's higher order, or any of those. Which ones do you think are most useful and practical? And then question 3, the transition model. Do you feel that a lot of these models actually have transitions in them when you're talking about phases or whether you're talking about steps? Do you think those transitions exist but are just labeled a different term? Do you think some of these terms are interchangeable? Or is there a very great difference between a phase and a transition? Again, this is more of a broader topic, but it's more or less a question of semantics as well. I know that I found that phases and transitions to me they seem almost identically the same, though the foundation of context may be the difference there. So what do you think? Are phases and transitions different, or is transitions similar? Do you find them in other models that maybe not list them? All right, and that's all I've got for y'all. I apologize if that's not clear enough. Really coming up with some questions after this week, my brain's fried. I apologize, no excuse, I'm just letting y'all know. I'll see y'all in class, and I can't wait to see you guys again. We are now done with 2 of our major projects that we've had hammered out to do this week, and we only have a little bit left. Keep it together, guys. We got this.